That's amazing. I can't wait to read the next book. I asked you this once before. I want to ask you once again. I know what you're going to say, but I just want to ask you, is 9/11 somehow connected to the systematic evil that is unspeakable that you write about with these assassinations?
Well, let me ask this question to the people who are watching this or listening to it. Have you ever seen buildings come down the way they did at 9/11? Just watch the pictures. You know, just go Google buildings coming down or something. Have you ever seen buildings come down that way by airplane hitting it at the top? I mean, or anything hitting it anywhere? You know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's sort of like, it's not physics. I mean, I wanted to study physics one day. I don't know much physics to this day, but I know enough to know that if you an airplane hits the top of the Empire State Building, you don't have a free fall of the building a little while later. And especially for World Trade Center 7, which didn't get hit by an airplane, you don't have a free fall of the building. Nothing hit it. You know, it wasn't. There's no explanation for it except it's a miracle. Oh, well, that's not the kind of miracle that I believe in. I believe in other kinds of miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And in other words, it came down through controlled demolition. We've seen a lot of buildings come down that way. That's the way you could bring those buildings down.
Yeah.
And if you have controlled demolition, you got to put a lot of stuff inside, and you got to prepare it. And that's what happened at 9/11. So then you begin to say, okay, so is there this guy in Afghanistan who did all of this? Read the books, and the books, especially by David Ray Griffin, Griffin, David Ray Griffin. He's written 12 books now on 9/11. Who's David Ray Griffin, Griffin? He's one of the greatest theologians of the 20th century.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of him.
Theologian. He's a process theologian. He's a great process theologian, and he retired later in the latter part of the 20th century. So he's living as a retired theologian in California. He had been at Claremont School of Theology, as I recall. So David Ray Griffin, he accepted the government story on 9/11 when it happened. But then, you know, a year or two later, he's just asking basic questions. Like I was asking one basic question. There are about a dozen or 20 or 30 basic questions you can ask about 9/11 that don't make any sense according to the government story.
Yeah.
And he decided, well, I'm going to start writing about this. Now he's written 12 books about it.
Wow.
They're probably the 10 or 12 best books written about 9/11. And this isn't a fly-by-night guy. He's one of the greatest theologians of the 20th century. Here he's writing on a political subject, but he spends time looking into it.
Wow. I'm going to have to read those.
And the first thing he takes is, what does the government say about it before it happens? Before it happens. Well, before it happens, there was a group of people who became very big in the George Bush, second George Bush administration, who had a project for a new American century. This was in the latter part of the 20th century. And they said, what we need in order to convert the world to our point of view through military power is a new Pearl Harbor. In other words, we need the enemy to attack us in such a way that we can justify our attacking everybody.
We need an enemy. We need
an enemy.
Yep.
That's the story of 9/11. So
the other thing that
you're connecting it with what we've been talking is perfectly natural. We always need an enemy to justify our evil.
Right.